Institute of Engineering and Technology. I would like to welcome Dr. Borkha Mes Das Mem from the Department of Petroleum Technology, Dibrugarh University, who is also a part of the chapter serving as the faculty advisor. I also welcome and thank all the scholars and industry people from around the world for joining us. The chapter is delighted to introduce our guest speaker for the session, Dr. Pranjal Kumar Phukan sir, presently working as Chief Manager, Brahmaputra Cracker and Polymer Limited, Dibrugarh, Assam. Dr. Phukan is a doctorate in literature, a chartered engineer, has done his master's in industrial engineering and has been awarded fellowship under MIIE, FIPE and FMERC. He is the Global General Secretary, World Mathematics Association, Brand Ambassador, International Academy of Science, Engineering and Technology, New Delhi, and is a notable figure in the field of entrepreneurship who has 23 years of experience in supply chain analytics and operation management with leading companies of India. He has created tools of pricing, maximizing sales, cost-saving initiatives, and many more. In 2016, he was awarded the Leadership Excellence Award in Supply Chain Innovation by the World Leadership Federation, Versatile Leader of the Year 2020, Southeast Asia Business Leader Awards, and numerous awards in between. Sir, we are really honored to have you here with us today. But before we begin, I would request everyone to kindly mute themselves and keep their videos off so that our speaker can proceed through the session smoothly. Also, in the meantime, you can drop your queries in the chat box present on the top right corner of your screen. Thank you. Sir, you can kindly take over the session.
Very warm good morning to everyone. Myself, Dr. Pranjal Kumar Phukan, and I'm humbled that SP and faculty, I'm also obliged to faculty of the University, the IVT and Department of Petroleum Engineering both for inviting me to the session to talk on the advanced technologies, which is basically affecting all sections of the industries, not only petroleum, but I must say that it also affected education, it's also affecting our day-to-day activities also. So this topic actually I thought would be much more prudent to discuss because with the big data in place, we can have now tools enabled with artificial intelligence to have the predictive maintenance, predictive performance review and all these things through the system called predictive analytics. Now, before going to this, what I used to speak in my webinars for regarding this advanced technology, that these are only tools. Only thing is like how smartly we can use these tools without increasing the cost of our operations, without increasing the cost of our maintenance, and without increasing the cost of the service and goods to the consumers. That cannot be like elevated because we are introducing new technology. No one is going to understand this. No one is going to get convinced by this. So we have to run our business. We have to sustain our business. We have to outperform our business. We have to scale our business at the same cost, or either you can say as a reasonable cost using this advanced technology. So before using these advanced technologies, you should be, am I audible? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
So before using these advanced technologies, everyone should have understanding. Everyone means all industries, all service sectors should understand that whether they are ready for this particular implementation of technology or not. If yes, then how? Without investing more, or you can say with retrofitting of all the equipments, all the devices, or you can revisit all the processes, all the systems which is presently in the factory, in the industry, or in the sector. So now I want to share the content to all of you so that you can have a look into it. It's visible to everyone. Okay. So my topic today is AI enable, artificial intelligence enable predictive analytics in upstream. There are three streams you all know: upstream, midstream, downstream. DCPL is in downstream. Upstream are basically the exploration and production of oil and natural gas. Midstream are basically the pipelines and transportation by Gas Authority of India Limited. So GAIL is midstream, ONGC is upstream, DCPL is downstream. So reasoning demand for oil and gas you must be doing makes the discovery of new oil fields a high priority now for the companies in this space. So upstream companies are always in challenge. They're always getting challenges, or because the demand of oil and gas is more. Maybe in the COVID situation, demand for oil and gas has gone down, but still the global demand is still there because it is also catering to the energy sectors. This operation is generally termed as exploration and production or the upstream level of oil and gas industry. So now finding ways to make E&P process more efficient and optimize operation in the field, application of AI might help oil and gas companies, but this is not a general rule that AI will help all E&P industries. It depends on how compatible it can be made or how it is being implied to that particular sector. The AI in oil and gas market has valued at $2 billion in 2019 and is expected to reach $3.81 billion in 2025. Okay. So AI tools can help oil and gas companies in digitizing records and can automate the analysis of the gathered geological data and charts. So why I'm saying how AI can help you? AI can help oil and gas upstream companies in digitizing their records. There are thousands of records already available with all industries. So this can help in digitizing the records and can also automate the analysis of the gathered geological data charts, which can lead to potential identification of issues such as pipeline corrosion, increased equipment usages. The oil and gas companies can potentially gain crucial insights to improve their business outcomes in their upstream processes with the integration of AI software. So this is how, in brief, we can say AI in ONG can help to enable the predictive analytics in supporting the industry to maintain their sustainability, maintain their profitability, maintain their continuity in the business. The investment which has already happened and happening in digital technologies in oil and gas, if you see, the blues are basically, light blues are investing today and dark blue are investing in the next 3 to 5 years, means 2025. So if you see, all of these industries already started investing in big data, IoT, mobile devices, clouds, robotics and drones, artificial intelligence, wearable technology, collaboration and social tools. However, if you see in the extreme right, these three factors, robotics and drones, artificial intelligence, and wearable technology are the fastest area of growth. Why this is so? Because we are facing the situation of contactless. We are facing the situation of work from home. So this robotics and drones, which is very much prevalent for industry 4.0, dark factory is required. In dark factory, robotics and drones required. Artificial intelligence, obviously, for human-machine interfacing is required. Wearable technology is for the contactless servitization in remote location, in hazardous operations, in ONG, the workers cannot go to these places. So at that moment, they can have the real-time assessment of the equipments and machines through this wearable technology, whereby they also get protected and safety and standards can be maintained. So we see the percentages, they are coming up very fast now. These three particular tools of the AI-enabled tools are robotics, artificial, and wearable. Otherwise, rest all are moving very fast. Mobile devices, you are saying, we are getting very fast in earlier days, or earlier time also, and now also it is going at the same smooth rate, because mobile devices finally is getting the results from IoT. So I am speaking on IIoT in this AI predictive analytics. So IoT is part which is IIoT is the part which is before IoT. So IIoT is specific to the industries for interfacing machines and human beings, so that the required and requisite outcomes comes to the forefront through IoT methodologies or IoT tools, with the use of IoT tools, so that these handheld devices, mobile devices, wearable devices can be used by the front end people to get the results which is being intended for. The digital themes. Why I'm saying the digital themes? Because when I'm discussing AI-enabled predictive analytics, AI is not independent. For implementation of the whole gamut of these advanced technologies, the theme of digital theme must be understood by every industry or sector. The first thing is life cycle management. So digital asset life cycle management. So the new technologies combined with data-driven insights can transform the operations, boosting agility, strategic decision making on real time, and resulting in a new transformed business models. In one of my webinars today at 5 p.m. with Dhaka School of Economics, I'm going to speak on bionic supply chain management, wherein all the conventional supply chain involving advanced technologies like AI can be used to transform this particular business models, so that industry sectors which COVID situation can sustain. So this digital thing, first thing is to be understood very clearly, that when I'm going to implement advanced technologies in the industry sectors, service sectors, it should first take care of my asset life cycle management. It should enhance my life cycle management. It should have real-time data information to maintain or manage my life cycle, asset life cycle. Circular collaborative ecosystem is an integrated digital platform which enhances collaboration between what? Ecosystem participants, means your vendors, your users, okay, B2B or B2C, helping fast-track innovations. Obviously, innovations is very much required now to reduce costs, to optimize costs, and provide a transparency within the organizations which are working in hazardous position in the multi-demographic locations. ONGs are basically working in multi-demographic locations. Upstream industries or oil and gas upstream are working in a similar way. They are not working in a very comfortable and favorable location or situation. So that way we can have a very good circular collaborative ecosystem developed with this advanced technology. Now beyond the barrel, means we ONG are not meant to produce only barrel of oil. So we have to think beyond barrel, like innovative customer engagement. Now time has come, because the competitive world, resources are very constrained. So we have to, so with these digital themes, any industry can think beyond the barrel with innovative customer engagement models, which can provide flexibility and personalized experience customized to the need of the industry for revenue generation. And last of this theme is energizing new energies, which means you cannot just think of focusing on a particular aspect of the services or goods, but you can focus on more out-of-box thinking, so that we can have a better energy resources and careers, like midstream I'm saying careers, and supports some innovative models for optimizing and marketing. So how to optimize it, how to reach each and every corner of the world to have a better marketing prospects, and also to remain relevant to today's customers, the need of the customers, the need of the demand of the economy, the climate change, and many other things. Now, I'll be discussing like how to put a value on the digital transformation. Digital transformation, see why I'm saying digital transformation is the umbrella under which there will be many things which I've shown you. Many things. One of the enabler is AI. So to enable it like cloud computing, robotics, deep learning, machine learning, then you can say augmented reality, okay, then IoT, sensors, IoT, many things, and number of things. But the umbrella is the digital transformation concept, which in the oil and gas industry can unlock approximately, we said, as 1.6 trillion of value of the industry. So what are the disruptive technologies we have at present? Like I told you, cloud, then software, smart assets, then you can say monitoring, social, sensors, big data, analytics, blockchains. Now these aging systems and business models, which are conventional systems and models which we cannot say these are outdated, but still they have some relevance. So when we mix both, then we can have a step to change the outcomes and competitiveness through like connected supply chains. See, supply chain is very important because it adds value to the chain. It adds value to the system. It adds value to the process. So whenever I speak, I don't speak supply chain. I speak supply value chain, because each and every chain has a value to it. So we have now a connected supply chain, a connected enterprise, connected operations, connected products, connected services, connected workers towards a particular focus, an objective, a vision of any sector. Specifically to this webinar, ONG, how to maximize, why to maximize, when to maximize, where to maximize. All these things can be understood, can be connected based on disruptive technologies and conventional and aging system, aging models, aging processes. So in this way, that's why I told you that implementing digital transformation doesn't cost much, because obviously you are having the aging system and models and works in process which are being taken into consideration while devising. Okay. Now putting a value to digital transformation, it has potential to create around 1 trillion value. I told you it also benefit this much worth of wider, you can say, savings, isn't it? And also you can have roughly this much of productivity improvements, reducing water usage, and most important, in part of the, I'm speaking in terms of the circular economy, environmental benefits also includes reducing carbon dioxide emissions also. So also it is avoiding oil spills, which is a phenomena globally, where around 230,000 barrels of oil. Now this oil and gas, if you see the value in stake for industry, 2016, 2024, 2025 by digital theme, the 4 themes we have discussed, if you see the potential business impact, there are many pillars actually. The potential business impact, then you can see the potential societal impact, total value at stake, emission reduction, and net impact on jobs. So this is the source of the World Economic Forum essential analysis. If you see the figure, so the potential impact on digital life assessment is around $1 billion to 745, and cumulatively the highest reason basically the potential business impact with improvement in your digital asset life cycle. And if you see the societal part also, highest is in energizing new energies. Total value at stake, if you see, highest again in life cycle assessment, because life cycle management of any OMG is very, very crucial because of many factors like corrosions and all these things which I'll discuss in the upcoming slide. In emission standard also, these new technologies, new emerging technologies can provide new energies concepts by which we can reduce carbon dioxide by in million tons, like highest is 900. The net impact on jobs, if you see, impact on job is affecting, which on positive note, I'm saying not negative, that is life cycle management system. So in this way, actually, this technology is affecting more or less on the positive note towards maintaining the business in a more smart way. Now this is the value framework. See, for any implementation of any process or any procedure or any methods as a scientific way, there has to be some framework or some systems. So successful digital transformation can boost the profitability of oil and gas firms by improving what? By improving, you can say, the workforce, safety, benefit to the society, you to reduce emissions, reduce water consumption. If you see, the maximizing value in oil and gas can happen through three tiers, into basically not the tiers, into three pointers. One is financial, one is customer, and one is environment. If you the financial performance, if you implement in digital transformation, obviously ROIC, means pre-tax return will be getting impacted because the operating margin, the capital efficiency is also improving, resulting into because of why it is improving, because your cost is getting optimized, so your revenues are also getting optimized, and you are also having a very good capital flow. In invested capital flow of utilization is more. So in customer value, affordability, reliability, trust, and standardization satisfaction is happening. It is boosted all these parameters of customer value and environmental that increase safety of the workers, of the community, sustainability, obviously sustainability and employability. So all these things actually happening because this digital transformations has such tools and such processes and systems embedded into it that if you can implement this smartly, then obviously you get better results than your conventional or aging processes. These are some of the initiatives taken by the ONG, like with the four things which I discussed, that initiatives are going for new era of automation. New era of automation is Industry 4.0. You must all be knowing that what is Industry 4.0. It is the basically, if you see the Venn diagram, the Industry 4.0 is basically the package or is consisting of IIoT, IoT, CPS. That is cyber physical security, IoT, IIoT, and AI. Okay. So all these things actually make up into one called Industry 4.0. In very layman terms, I can say Industry 4.0 can be explained in dark factory concept, where factory will be there, where no human being should be inside the factory. So it's called dark factory. All lights are off, but still factory is operating because all the machines are smart enough. They're all the smart machines which are very well connected to the artificial intelligence tools to cloud computing, and machines should be more or less robotic based, and this can be working on the machine learning concept so that human beings at a remote place can have control of the machines and operations to give the intended services or outputs through HMI concept. Okay, and many other things are there. So these things makes up in the Industry 4.0 to have a very smart thing in place without expending much money and making your business in a continued way. So these are the initiatives you can see, like new era automation, advanced analytics, connected workers, digital information sharing and operational transparency, real-time supply value chain. Okay, supply value chain. And digital customer service, consumer energy service. So these are the initiatives they have taken. Okay, and based on that technologies, you can see many technologies I have written. All the technologies are showing here, like autonomous operations, remote operations, predictive maintenance, operations optimization, cognitive computing, wearables, blockchain, smart contracts, 3D printing, additive manufacturing, hyperlocal mobile fuel options, targeted digital marketing, alternative energy source and platform. There are many things are there. Many things are there. It depends on like what type of applications you want from the initiatives you can have to these four basic principal things. So based on that, an industry can decide depending on its size, on its demographic size, on the size of the customers, like what initiatives they should take to maintain the situation presently in the COVID post-COVID situation. These are the applications of the predictive analytics in a very brief way, like it can be used for exploration, like borehole geophysics, geochemistry imaging, for drilling purpose, lean, ultra, deep water design, in production like 4D seismic reservoir simulations, Then also can completions, hydraulic fracturing, production forecasting, for gathering purpose like pipeline monitoring, maintenance scheduling, and also weather like meso and micro scale operational forecasting. So in these all type of applications, predictive analytics AI enabled can be used. To help now, the main question I'm coming to, I have spoken all about the processes, how to go, where to go, what to go, and how to get it, what to get it. But before that, few questions are required to be answered by the ONG before going for digital transformation. Now, to help optimize production, you must be knowing, adopting advanced analytics, which combines engineering, data science, and computing power, which enables businesses to forecast yields and maximize their industry assets. But before that, it is better to understand where these analytics comes into play. And here are the three questions which I am giving here. First question is, what type of predictive analytic applications are currently being used in oil and gas? It is something like you must be knowing that without knowing who is using this, how it is performing, and what is the cost of performance to this, whether it is impacting, as has been said, whether it is impacting my existing customer base, whether it is improving their value chain. So you should know what types of predictive analytic applications are being used. So I have shown some of the applications earlier in the initiative. So out of that also, and also you can explore. Second one, what tangible results have predictive analytics given in oil and gas? Are there common trends among these innovation efforts? How could these trends affect the future of energy? The most popular applications, AI applications from top 5 industries currently which I have found were two. One is intelligent robots and one is virtual assistant. The intelligent robot, it is designed with AI capabilities for hydrocarbon exploration and production to improve productivity and cost effectiveness, reducing water risk. And second one is virtual assistants. There is an online chat platform that helps customers navigate their product database and process general inquiries using natural language, NLP. Okay. So these are the questions and two popular AI applications which are found and noted here. But apart from this, there are many other applications also. So it is also required that everyone should explore on this and discuss like how to why to implement. Now AI comes into play at upstream level of oil and gas industry, answering the following questions. Why I have said to have the AI enable predictive analytics, because the AI has given some answers to the problem. Okay, answers to the problems to ONG in such a way that what type of AI applications are currently in use at the upstream level. Okay, what tangible results AI driven at the upstream level? Are there any common trends? So these three questions basically is being asked by the system. So if I'm going to enable any AI enabled system, the first thing I should know that AI application have already helped the ONG to maintain and develop and innovate their operations at the upstream level. So these are the questions again repeating here because these are the questions based on which this trend is any industry, any sector is moving for the AI-enabled services. Because if the question is there, then obviously answer will be there. So without questions, answer cannot be there. So AI-enabled position can be questioned. So we have question because we have the answer and solution. Now, within this AI predictive analytics, some of the softwares, I'm not discussing on the softwares, but the softwares are primarily used for very, very important major applications for spoil, corrosion, risk analysis, which can be helpful while adopting for this AI-enabled predictive analysis. That is in the production stage, was knowing ONG companies need to store crude and refine in large tank and transport pipelines. The corrosion happens, which is common features, which leads to the failure of the equipment. And what this means in real business term is that ONG firms don't have the best process to capture and transfer the knowledge from the veteran engineers in a repeatable manner. There are many industry experts, but it is time is not so that all that we can keep this all the knowledge of these veteran and experts in a particular place and give it in a repeated manner to the people at the front end to maintain these equipments and your process, your systems. So better, why not use this all the knowledge in the digitized format, using artificial intelligence enabled tools and deliver this information, share this information at the real time or the maintenance insights to engineers, new engineers, working engineers with the possibility of AI-enabled tools like IoT. Okay, so in this way, what is happening? We are harnessing the knowledge, the power of knowledge of the experts, the best practices, which is happening globally, so that we can summarize all those things in a particular place, and at a real time, we can have the access to these best practices and knowledge while we are going for the maintenance, predictive maintenance, or any general maintenance, or any problem which may crop up due to predictive analytics. We come to know beforehand that this equipment is going to fail by this date, by this time. So beforehand, we can take the example of this knowledge and put in digitized mode, and we can minimize the risk of this corrosion risk happening, leading to big catastrophe in the ONG. So a predictive analytics is basically for managing the whole things in a predictive manner. Second is data analysis. So these software tools, these softwares when we are using for AI-enabled predictive analytics and maintenance things, the data analysis also suppose the data analysis, because AI tools can help oil and gas companies to digitize software and automate the analysis of geological data and charts of the particular demographic region, potentially leading to identification of the issues, which is only suppose some creeping issues were coming up, perennial issues were coming up. So these issues will be digitized. You are not reinventing the tool. You are not reinventing the wheel, basically. Again, going back to the same thing. If you have the data, if you have the information about the identification of issues, pipeline corrosion, simply equipment usage, then you can use this AI technology like computer vision, natural language processing NLP to extract data from these documents automatically. Like, so you can have the dashboards like this. You can have dashboards like this from where you can take out the data from the repository of the data, and you can have a much better, much scientific, much real-time data analysis, so that you can save time, you can save money, you can save resources of your organization. Then comes the exploration. So we're coming to the slides. Actually, what I say, this predictive analytics is a very vast subject. But to the point, if I say the softwares enabled with this particular digital transformations, it can particularly help the OG for your corrosion risk analysis, then data analysis, explorations also. Like it reduces the time and cost. You see, the main purpose of digital transformation is to reduce time and cost and to get the better services than the conventional system with least cost and time, so that it reaches the customer fast, it adds value to the customer perception, and also it helps in the climate change. So I will give you an example of the ExxonMobil's work with MIT, where they have made some systems or softwares which can help this ONG to reduce exploration cost and time. It is happening. It is happening here in India also. But you want to get the information from the ONG companies, you have to have that information first, so that you can ask and come to BCPL also to discuss about how BCPL is, because we are not going for exploration, but still we are using as a downstream. We are also using some advanced technology so that we can analyze the cost. We can analyze the cost. We can simulate the whole process beforehand, before receiving that quantity or that quality of natural gas from Oil India, whether it is suitable for me to produce high density, or whether it is suitable for me to produce low density, or polypropylene, at what quantity, what configuration, which variant. Many things are there where we already started using AI tools. We have also started using AI tools in sourcing also. Crowdsourcing, we are already applied for the crowdsourcing to the vendors. Okay. So now the software applications can help in three-part production optimizations, like using computer vision to analyze seismic and subsurface data faster, downtime minimizing with predictive maintenance, reservoir understanding and modeling through predictive corrosion risk to reduce maintenance, which I've already discussed. So the three things, three parameters, three business given values are there. that any industry goes for, not only how to optimize production costs, how to minimize downtime, and how to have its inventory, optimize inventory with it. That optimize inventory with the reserve understanding and modeling, because all the fuels are running on the pipelines and stored in the big tanks. So corrosion risk is always there, which is the hazardous to the community, to the industry, and also it also devalues the quality of the reserve, which is kept for a long time. So successful digital transformation, for this you have to have a digital priority. In senior executives, you have to have a culture. Here I am saying this, now culture has changed. Why industries are working out for the culture change in their particular setup? Why not the community? Why not the education system? Education institutions are inculcating this culture of innovation and technology adoption. If it is not happening, I must tell you, I am not only I am going to see the whole the analysis made by the big organization, economists, everyone. They are saying that the culture of innovation, technology adoption has to be there right from the school, not from the university and college, right from the school. If the school's children have not developed the culture of innovation, technology adoption, so I think it's very late when the student reaches the graduate or postgraduate level to change his mindset, and which will be hampering, which is going to hamper with this COVID situation when everything is digitized. So I said I just not need to attend all webinars. Please be very specific to yourself. You should be knowing what information I need, what information I don't take. If someone says go and attend the webinars, don't attend it. First analyze yourself whether I really need this information. If yes, then attend the webinars. In that way, you'll be very specific, you'll be very focused, and you can have this culture of innovation and technology adoption, and you can walk out of box thinking, can inculcate within you. And that way, it is the need of the hour that every student who are the future citizens of this country should be contributing to these nations. So ultimately what I'm saying is the digital savvy workforce is the fundamental enabler. The digital savvy workforce is, who are the digital savvy workforce? Digital savvy workforce are the students. They have to have a fundamental foundational enabler of the transformation, and they are going to have a key driver for maximizing any venture capital, whether their own or any particular setup. Now, for successful digital transformation, you have to put in place a methodical approach. Everywhere methodical approach is required in a scientific manner, so it is not a new thing to anyone, and this will reform the company's data architecture, because data sits at the heart of the digital transformation. So obviously any transformation, or not for transformation, for me also, if I want to go somewhere, when I start thinking how to go, where to go, my brain must have the data of the particular situation, of the particular location, all the things which I have, which I need to calculate on facts and figures, has to be in my brain. So my brain is a computer. So in the particular computer, I need to input the data first, no? So that's why I started by schooling from the nursery onwards. So all data are being inbuilt. So that's the same thing. Digital transformation also requires data. That's why it is called big data analytics or predictive analytics. Come from that. So from that we can predict. From that we can do the activities. So all things need some data. So this is the heart of the transformation, and so harmonization, integration, interoperability is required. So identify opportunity for deepening this collaboration and understanding for sharing an economic platform. So sharing economy, gig economy, so these things are all happening. So why I am saying this in my webinar, because repeatedly, time to time, I came to know that the results coming for the webinars are not happening because the people who are attending this might not have the focus why they are attending this. In most of the webinars, I found that the question answer sessions also, the questions are coming are not up to mark. Means, because it is not a new thing, now it is already 6 months has happened. But still in the 6 months, if none of the audience is understanding the impact, if they are still enjoying these outdoor walk from home or still enjoying the social distancing, staying at home, please remember the situation won't happen like this for a long time. After some time it will open. It will open with a new thing, with a new system. Then I think how it will be helpful for you. Whether it will be helpful for you to continue your things as usual. So with this, I am closing this session, with my present not session or my presentation. Now with this, I would like to have questions from the participants for specifically understanding why predictive analytics is required. What is AI? I'm not going to answer this question. What is cloud computing? No. Only thing I think this is particularly mentioned for predictive analytics. You can ask me why not predictive maintenance directly? Why analytics first? And why AI enabled? Why AI enabled or any other enabled is not being told. Whether, however, I have covered the whole digital transformation with themes and vision, with values. So now you can have the questions from the audience.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative session. And sorry for the inconvenience.
Okay, ma'am.
Before we start with the Q&A session, I would like to inform all the participants that the link for the feedback form is provided in the chat box. So everyone is requested to fill up the feedback form. And now the session is open for all. You can put up your questions in the chat box, or you can simply unmute yourself if you wish to interact with sir.
You can ask this question now, why this Baghdad happened? This Baghdad could never have happened if they have used these advanced technologies as predictive things. No? So they could not have predicted that such a devastation could have happened because they had used the conventional, all conventional sensors might be there, all conventional PLC system might be there. There must have been some problem with the temperature or the sensor must be malfunctioning. So see, these things can be taken care if we integrate, interconnected all the systems and sensors in such a way that it gives a real-time information and fault finding also within the sensor. If sensors is not working, then also it will trigger the router that your particular sensor is not working. You can bypass the sensor or you can divert the sensor. Something like that happening. Like in DCPL, we are using SCADA, supervisory control system, which is over and above the DCS. So like remote in Buri and all, we don't go there. We used to use all the SCADA sensors. So at the real time, we can, by sitting at a particular room, we know how my 40 kilometer pipelines to Lakwa and 40 kilometer pipelines to Dunyajan is performing. If anything goes wrong, immediately based on the data, we can control the hazard. We can control the outcome, which might be a huge, it's a big hazard for the community and people. Will job opportunity reduce due to introduction? See, this question is repeating. So, see, this is not like if when computer will introduce in the globe, do you feel that people have lost their job? It is increase the job. AI is not going to reduce your job. Only thing is that it will change the pattern of your job. It will change the pattern of the job. That's why I'm saying if you are not updated with these technologies, no, the job pattern will change. Your job description will change. Your requirement of the job will change. Basic qualification will be there, engineer, but apart from that, they will need some more specific information from you. If you don't have them, you won't get the job. You will not lose the job, but they will not give you the job. So that way, these are some of the requirements which are happening now from time to time. You have to update, upskill yourself. Job will not get it. Job will be there, but their definitions will be different now. So that definition you have to cope with it, or you will be lying in island. There will be no job for you matching to your qualification or specification, something like that. How data analytics can be used in tracing the flow and movement of oil gas? Data analytics is what? It is analysis of data. But from where you will get the data? Through sensors. So obviously you will put your sensors in the flow system with different types of sensors depending on temperature, depending on the humidity, depending on the pressure. You put sensors at the particular locations. From the sensors will be tracing those flow at the parameter which you have defined in your control systems. Those all sensors, multiple sensors data will be coming and triggering to a particular location data repository, from where you can use your analysis using any n numbers of tools, either to cloud computing or you can physically be there and can find out using your IoT devices. Analytics can be happen anywhere, but what I told you, the heart is data. So first you have to collect data, reliable data. Maybe the complex data that you must be knowing how much complex it is, how to disintegrate the complex data into simplified manner so that machine can understand through ML programming and all these things. So it is basically a total what I told you is a total process. It's a total theme and process basically which you have to integrate, and everything is there. Now just you have to customize based on your requirements. Then just to emphasize to know how NOC are dealing with predictive analytics, if yes, how long it takes to fully stream the process. So how can I say that? What analytics for tool they are being using it, because it is not like a general. It is something called customized medicines. Like if you say the COVID-19 vaccine comes up, this vaccine is not general for everyone. It is not general vaccine. It is like specific vaccine. Vaccine for cancer patient, vaccine for diabetic patient, vaccine for high blood pressure patient, vaccine for pregnant, vaccine for children. So these are customized COVID vaccines will come in picture, because COVID cannot be treated like one-to-one. So no, it is something not like your other vaccines like polio and all. So that way, this predictive analytic tools, why we're going for predictive analytics and why we're using all these digital tools, it has to be in a customized form. It is not a very general tool. It is not a general tool. Okay. So how long it will take to streamline? It depends on the management. It depends on the industry, what timeline they have attached to it. They want this timeline for 1 year, obviously they will get after 1 year, 2 years, 2 years, 3 months, but it also depends whether it is applicable for 3 months, whether it is applicable for short term, applicable for long term, medium term. Many things are there. That's why I told all these 3 questions need to be asked before implementing this tool for any type of performance review of your organization, including maintenance, operations, and sales. Okay. Then I think no more questions is coming up. Any more questions specific to it? Any electronic students here? They must be very well knowing all these things, about the sensors, no? The sensors are part of the digital transformations. LoRa 1 is very, very specific to this. I'll be taking one session with one engineering college in Jharkhand, that is BITCP, on LoRa 1 next week. Any more questions? If sensors failed, yes, sensor will fail. It is the equipment, no? In some regions we can get some basic value, yes. How? The two-way system is there. If sensor fails to give the input, then the master sensors interprets and it takes charge of that sensors. It takes charge of the sensors and it blocks that sensor and directly retrieves data from the system. Means from the intended system. Suppose I say a master sensor has 5 sensors with it. All 5 sensors, time to time at a trigger time, they will send the signals to the master sensor. Suppose out of 5, 1 fails, then master sensor will be 5th. Okay, means 4 plus 1. So that way it is a device. If all 5 fail, then the master sensor is basically 4 plus 1. Okay, so that way it never fails, but it triggers immediately to its master sensor. That my 1 sensor or 4 sensors failed. So that way the human being who is sitting at the end for analysis, he can immediately send the trigger to the maintenance team to replace the sensors, in real time, so that any more hazards can be saved. So these things have been done. This is because we are only playing with the data. Now, if you are not getting your data at right time, so you know something is happening wrong. So how to trigger? You have to have some backup solutions which will be made there. Okay. So this happens. This is another problem is happening with us also. In our whole plant is basically sensor based. All petroleum actually industry, oil and gas, and sensor based. It is very difficult for human beings to monitor the things in such a real time in a minute way. Okay, because we are dealing with so much of hazardous chemicals, catalysts, natural gas, crude. We also deal with crude like naphtha, isn't it? So I think with this, I think more or less it's clear. So we can sum up the session now, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As there's no further queries, I would like to hand over the session to Sharanand Pujari to conclude the session with a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ananya, for handing over the session. Thank you to Dr. Pranjal Kumar Fukan, sir, our guest
Thank
speaker for the session on artificial intelligence in predictive analytics in upstream oil and gas industry. So, sir, thank you for very much for sparing time apart from your busy schedule and joining us for the webinar session as the guest speaker. The chapter is also grateful to Dr. Borkham S. Das Madam, Faculty Advisor, SPE Dibrugarh University Chapter, for joining the session and providing us with an insight. Then the chapter is also grateful to the industry personnel, the participants from across different countries who are gracing the session, and they are having queries based on the presentation made by Dr. Fukan sir. I hope the presentation and the webinar session is beneficial for all the attendees. Thank you for joining today. Thank you, sir, for joining us and for providing us with a detailed information on how artificial intelligence will be helping us in the near future in the upstream oil and gas industry with citing of various examples from real-time data, etc. So thank you, sir, for joining us today as the guest speaker once again. Thank you all the participants for joining.
Yeah, thank you very much for all of you, and I'm sorry if I spoken some harsh words, because see, the need of the time, actually I am very much frustrated with this. The need of the time is running fast, and I really appreciate all of you for attending this, and I request you, a personal request, please reskill, please upskill, please don't take all information, please be very specific which information you need to take, and please be very choosy at this time. People who are not choosy will be left out. So with this, again, I am very thankful to the SP chapter, and I wish SP chapter a big success and bright future. Thank you very much.
The chapter will be blessed to host you in the near future. Thank you all the participants for joining the session. Thank you.